Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you're doing well. Let's talk about Iraq. Let's talk about everything happening, where it's at, and so forth. Okay. This investment is a very challenging investment to gauge because right now a lot of the news coming out is very misleading. They're not telling us the truth. Okay. For example, yesterday I showed you an article that said Kurdistan would be sending in a delegation to Baghdad today to finish discussions on the 3-year budget from 21 to 23. Then, as you see today, there is no delegation and nothing was discussed. So, in other words, the final agreement, the comprehensive agreement between Baghdad and Kurdistan is being delayed. Okay? Then there were other articles that said that as of today, the 2020 budget should have been sent to Parliament so they could approve it this week. That step hasn't happened. So they may not approve the 2020 budget this week. Okay, again, the information in this investment is very misleading and it makes it very difficult to gauge this investment. So let's look at everything. Let's analyze everything, worst case scenarios, the whole nine. Okay? So we don't know every step-by-step play that has to happen. And then when you try to look at their current information they're releasing, with even just current information coming out being incorrect, it just makes it very difficult to gauge this. So here's some things we need to look at in the current future, and then maybe in the long term. Okay, in the current, we need to keep our eyes on the 2021 budget. I'm sorry, not the 20, just the 2020 budget, and here's why. We're looking to see, are they going to approve the 2020 budget soon, or are they delaying it and approving it at a later date? Okay, here's the significance of that. They've suggested to us that the 2020 budget might have some reform funding in it, because remember they came out saying that the original budget was 148 trillion for even 6 months, but yet the original 12-month 2020 budget was 164 trillion. Okay, half of the 12-month budget, guys, of 164 trillion should have only been 82 trillion. Okay, but when they make it 148 trillion, that means it has an extra 66 trillion in it. Okay, for something. So, but then I showed you guys an article just mid this past week where they actually came out saying that they have yet to show and reveal the true numbers from within the 2020 budget. So the 2020 budget's being hid from everyone, including Parliament. Okay, we don't know the real true numbers in it. We have no idea if refunding's in it or not. And if refunding, if reforms are in it for funding, there's a good chance they're not going to tell you the truth anyway, because if they came out telling you that reforms were inside the 2020 budget for funding, if you were kind of a deep analytical thinker, you'd be able to think and realize that the 2020 budget could be linked to the rate change, okay? So because for example, Iraq hasn't told you the truth about their fiscal year. They haven't told you that their fiscal year actually goes, the real true fiscal year. They're telling you they're not telling you what it is, okay? They haven't told you what it is, but they're also not telling you what it is, okay? And that's it. I know for a fact it spans April through March. Okay, but so what I'm trying to tell you is, because they told you that the 2020 budget was only in place to cover the last 3 months of the year. Okay, that's not true. It's actually a 6-month semi-annual budget. It covers from the second half of the year of October through March of next year. Okay, so as you guys see, they're not telling us the truth. So it makes it very difficult to really gauge just everything happening in this investment. So we have to keep our eyes on the 2020 budget. Here's what we're looking for. Do they start the approval process right away? If they start the approval process of the budget right away, then there's a good chance it doesn't have the reforms inside. Okay? And that just means that the 2020 budget might not be linked to the rate change. And this, everything might roll into the 21 budget, and that's why they need a 3-year budget. The 21 to 23 budget are for sure the reforms. Okay, Those are for sure the reforms. That's why it's a 3-year budget, so they could spread the reforms out over a period of 3 years and implement them in phases and stages and fund them over a period of 3 years. Okay, so we know for a fact those are definitely linked to the reforms, but they still could have some partial reforms linked to the 2020 budget. We can't rule that out yet. So here's what we're looking for. We're looking for to see how does the 2020 budget play out? Do they just start approving it right away, or they delay it? If they're delaying it, guys, we are not going to know what the delay is. It could be right now. I just showed you an article this morning. They're very much in the thick of corruption. They've told us in the past they're probably going to try to go after over 1,000 corrupt officials, and I think they started earlier in June of this year. Okay, they do need to remove that corruption. Again, that's a level of stability. They do need to remove that corruption. But here's what I want to tell you on the corruption. Corruption is one of those things where if you're going to go after high-profile people such as political figures to arrest them, you can't really announce it. You have to kind of secretly come after them, okay, and just do it. And in other words, the announcement about it publicly cannot be announced until it's just kind of already done and near the end of it, okay? So the fact that I just showed you a video this morning which went through a lot of different steps and layers of corruption, the fact that they announced all that right now would kind of suggest to us that they're nearing the end of the corruption, okay? Because like I said, that can only be announced near the end of that. Otherwise, if you let the cat out of the bag, then you pretty much informed and let the political figures know that you're coming after them, and then they'll take off. But remember, this past week we actually saw an article where it said they were kind of closing the borders, preventing officials from leaving the country so that they could go after them legally. Okay, so we need to really keep our eyes on this 2020 budget. That's going to be a very telling sign based on whether it's delayed. And we also need to keep our eyes, too, on the Kurdistan-Baghdad agreement, guys. To me, that's kind of a similar step with the budget. Let's keep our eyes on both Kurdistan and Baghdad on that comprehensive agreement, see how much longer they delay that, and also the 2020 budget, because, again, if they delay those items, they're telling you that something's still in there that they're working on, okay, and that these items still could be linked to the rate change. Okay, so that's what we need to do. We need to see if they delay these items maybe another 1 to 2 weeks farther out, or if they start to just complete them right away. If they for sure complete this 2020 budget right away, then I would say it's probably fair to say that they're telling us that the 2020 budget has no relationship with the no link to the rate change, no funding of reforms. So at that point, guys, we're most likely going to wait till March of next year, okay, when they start to implement the 21 budget, which will be it'll be a 3-year package of budgets, and we will know we know the 21 to 23 budget has the reforms inside. That's very clear. But again, they're not going to tell you. I know that they did say that the 2020 budget only was to cover operating expenses. I get that. They did clearly tell you that, but I've also proven to you, because they also told you that the 2020 budget was only to cover a period of 3 months, guys, and that's complete lies. They would never utilize anywhere close to 148 trillion dinar for 3 stupid months. That's insane. So, and I've already verified factually, okay, Mike P. witnessed it twice now. He's been with me twice on conference calls, that the 2020 budget, guys, is indeed, it's a 6-month semi-annual budget. So again, there's no way in hell they're going to tell you if the 2020 budget has reform funding in it or not, because if you were an analytical thinker, you would know right away if it has reforms in it, it's linked and married to the rate change, and it has to be kind of timed and synchronized with it. Okay, so that's, again, there might be a small delay, something they're working on right now. Again, it could be possibly the corruption or something unknown. That's just an example or a guess. Okay, we don't know what it is. They're working on something. We have to watch their moves, though. We have to see what they're doing, and then that will let us know if the rate still is on track to change this year. And there's, Guys, there's a very good chance it still is on track for this year, okay? We're not walking away from this year. We need to see how everything plays out, okay? But that's the key thing, is we need to see how everything moves over the next few weeks. The next few weeks are going to be very telling, very critical to us, based on whether they start the approval process right away on that 2020 budget and complete the Kurdistan-Baghdad comprehensive agreement right away. We need to see those steps. That's going to be very telling to us, whether they tackle these items right away or delay them. If they delay these items by a few more weeks, guys, they have no reason at this point to delay the 2020 budget. They have no reason at all to delay it. They've already clearly told you, as of last weekend, it was last Sunday, I believe, the Council of Ministers already approved it, and they were already ready to pass it off to Parliament. Okay? So there's technically should not be any more delays on that 2020 budget. So we need to watch that closely and see what they do with it, guys, because that's going to be the secret to what direction things start to go, and it'll answer a lot of questions, whether we're still on track for this year or more next year, okay? Because we have to see if the reforms are part of the 2020 budget or if they're not, and the reforms are only linked to the 3-year budget package, which would be 21 to 23, okay, guys? So anyway, guys, hope that helps you guys out. That's where we're at. That's what we're watching. Again, this is just a very difficult investment to gauge, because the information coming out of Iraq right now is very misleading. Again, as of today, they should have passed off the budget to Parliament today, the 2020 budget, and Kurdistan was supposed to come to Baghdad to finalize and complete those comprehensive agreements, and none of this is happening. So they're not telling you the truth, but when you think analytically, you can look at, okay, you can kind of look at it from other angles and see where they're standing. And that's why we need to follow and see what they do with the 2020 budget, because that can tell us if they're going to possibly still change the rate this year, or if they're going to transition it more into next year and kind of time it with the 21 budget, maybe more towards March of next year, guys. But we are definitely not out of this year, so don't get discouraged. Keep your head up, stand strong. We are still looking amazing, okay? We look very good. And remember, Iraq has reached their highest level of stability. We are in, this is the perfect storm right now for the rate change. I mean, Iraq has reached their highest level of stability. Trump put in all these amazing, agreements, peace agreements with all these other countries and Israel. I mean, this is the perfect storm for the rate change, guys. Nobody can deny that. Okay, so don't get discouraged. Keep your head up, and stand strong. I'm still here with you guys. I'm going to walk this through to the end with you guys, and we'll get through this, okay? But let's do this as a team. I always appreciate you guys sending me stuff, sharing stuff. It really helps out. There's things, I don't see everything. I'm just one person, and I do a lot. I give you guys a good hour or more every day. So, it's a lot of work reaching out, compiling all this, and trying to help you guys. So anyway, again, stand strong and let's see what happens. Hey, I wish you guys the very best. God bless you guys and have a great day.